I mean, it's just getting crazy. So do I think a lot of this is purposeful? Yeah, I do. I really do.
Yep.
So people need to pay more attention to how they're handling their food when they get it. Because what else are you going to do if you don't live on a farm or know somebody that does or have a good relationship with a farmer? You're going to have to buy your stuff somewhere.
Yep.
And so, if you can't grow it yourself, then you have to be careful with everything that you're going to eat. So, yeah, that's what this is about. So it's not just the heat wave, it's general hygienic practices to keep you safe. So, in the areas of the world with those triple digit temperatures, it's risky to eat at some restaurants, especially buffets. And the reason for that is because if they don't watch the temperature and keep everything on ice that needs to be on ice, bacteria can double and triple and quadruple very quickly.
This is the Wonder Network, where we discuss healthy options for humanity. I'm Michael Lane with my co host, Dr. Val. Dr. Val is a retired seasoned naturopathic physician and registered nurse with over 4 decades of experience spanning various realms of acute care, including emergency care, intensive care, cardiac care, home health, and home hospice. How's it going today, Dr. Val?
Pretty good, Michael. Can't complain. And if I did, nobody'd listen. How are you
No, they
doing?
never do. I've tried it. Yeah, doesn't work. Doesn't
Yeah.
work.
Oh, well.
So I think today we have part three of our heat series. So what is part three about?
Keeping food safe in a heat wave.
That's good to have. Yes.
Yeah, it's amazing how many people have no clue. People pretty much don't have much of a clue about hygiene in the kitchen in the first place. So,
True.
yeah, I mean it is really scary sometimes. And I I don't know, I'm just shocked at some people's lack of hygiene. And, there's no excuse for it. If you live in one of the modern places in the world, in other words, not a third world country,
Right.
there's no excuse for not being hygienic in the kitchen. It really isn't. So people need to learn more because, when you start thinking about bacteria, whether you believe in germ theory or terrain theory, the fact is that bacteria can be passed on. They are living organisms. And the problem is that bacteria have killed more people in the world from the beginning of time than all of the wars combined.
Hmm.
And they can proliferate very, very quickly. So now that we've got a heat wave rolling across the United States in places that don't normally ever get a heat wave, um, I think that those people are probably fairly unprepared for things that can go wrong in your food. So we're going to talk about that a little bit today.
All righty.
So
Sounds good.
yeah, I mean, I've lived in the heat now for half of my life, and there's just some things that you just don't even do. You just throw stuff out.
Right.
And I hate to waste things of any kind. And so I always try to make sure that I don't leave things out. But life happens. I mean, I threw out a couple of eggs and a block of cream cheese the other day because I'd left it out 2 days in a row, and that's not good.
No, it's not.
And of course, I had to talk to myself first because I make my own mayonnaise, and it's fermented mayonnaise, and it has egg yolks in it. And so I leave it out for anywhere from about 8 to 16 hours to get the fermentation started. And so most people say, "Oh my God, you can't do that with mayonnaise. You're going to die." Well, obviously not, because I'm still here. And so I had the egg sitting out there, and I was like, "Oh boy." I was going to make some more, and I just didn't get around to it. And so I threw all that stuff out because in the summertime, even if you're in air conditioning, the temperatures can be so much hotter than you think. And I've told people for years, when you've got 100+ degree days, even if it's dry, and you've got the air conditioner going, like my air conditioner is kicking off all the time here in the summertime because it is that hot.
Right.
So even with the air conditioning going on, it can be 84 degrees in several places in my place. And that's even with air conditioning. And, I'll walk into one area and I'll go, damn, it's hot in here. What the heck? And then I check the temperature and, the air conditioner could be on 78, but it's 84 in one of those places. So, I'm one of those people that has the room darkening drapes, and I've got curtains over that. So that's how hot it is.
Right.
And still with the air conditioner, you still have a problem with maintaining a decent temperature. So here's the problem. If you are having temperatures over 100 degrees, keeping your food safe is really difficult. And especially if the power goes out. And here the power tends to go out every summer during the monsoons. And thankfully, it's usually not out for more than a couple of hours. But look at what Texas is going through right now. I have one friend who is in, I think, in the Houston area, and they've been without power for a couple of days, and it looks like it might be anywhere from 3 days to a week yet before they have power again.
Wow.
Even though nothing happened at their house,
Right.
they had trees down in the neighborhood, and so they're looking at that. So what are you going to do if something like that happens and the power's out for more than a couple hours?
Right.
How many people are really prepared for that? And I mean, I'm not as prepared as I would like to be, but I know plenty of people that have solar generators that are prepared just to run their refrigerators and freezers.
Right.
And, the other thing is you can go to find some dry ice if you're in a city and of course regular ice. But if the power goes out in my neighborhood, then the gas station around the corner that has the ice is going to lose power too. So, so that ice isn't going to last very long.
No.
So there's certain things that you can do to help prepare. And there's several lists that we're going to attach to this video that the people will be able to go to. And, you can find all kinds of information. It's out there. There's charts, there's suggestions and everything else. So what I wanted to do is start with commercially canned foods. So that's your normal canned food. Those are processed at high temperatures under pressure, but they can go bad really quickly if that temperature goes over 100 degrees. So, for instance, some people like to store dry and canned foods in a commercial storage unit. You see this all the time. If you look at those shows, where the people are storage hunters, and they go
Yep.
buy storage units at auction and they'll go through stuff and there's like exploded cans and there's dry stuff that the mice have gotten into and all this other stuff. And by the way, if you're putting stuff in a storage unit, it's against the rules in every place that I know of to store any kind of food in a storage unit for the simple reason that there's no temperature control.
Hmm.
And then as the food spoils, then you get all the little critters in there. You get bugs,
Yep.
you get mice, rats, everything else. And that can happen in your own place. Like I was just reading about somebody the other day that had their stuff stored in a metal shed on their property, and the temperatures went up, and they're wondering, is their food good? And they're like, well, the cans are not bulging or anything. And it's like, no, your food is not good. If it's been in, 100 degrees or more for over 4 hours, toss it because it's really going to be damaged by that heat. So, same thing with dry food. Like you think, oh, pasta, rice, beans, dry stuff like that, that's going to be fine. Well, maybe not. It depends on what you've just put it through. All it takes is a couple days of high temperatures, to ruin whatever has been stored, especially in uninsulated metal sheds, storage units, things like that. So when you look at the correct temperatures to store food, it's 50 to 70 degrees Fahrenheit. That's a pretty narrow range.
Very
It's
narrow.
cool. Yeah. And every time that you jump up another 10 degrees, you're getting a little closer to that edge where, no, like they'll say that, okay, if it has been stored that way, and then you have, maybe 4 hours where it goes up to 90, you're still okay. But over 90, that's just as bad as 100.
Yeah.
So you have to figure it out. Like one of the problems is people think that, oh, if my canned foods are bad, the cans are going to bulge. Well, not necessarily. They're thinking about botulism, and botulism normally puts out a lot of gas. And for that, then yeah, you get the bulging and bursting cans with that happens. And some other bacteria will cause that too, but not all pathogens create gas as they proliferate. And that includes Clostridium botulinum. So you don't really know. So if the canned foods have been exposed to high heat enough for a long enough amount of time, they should be considered spoiled and should be thrown out. So same thing with the dry foods if going through a heat wave. Now, some products may have pathogens from the factory. And I don't know if how many people are actually signed up on food safety news, but there's stuff every day. And the three things that I see are E. coli, salmonella, and listeria. Now, it used to be you never saw salmonella in food unless it was greens that had been harvested from a swampy area. So, someplace where there's reptiles running around. You never used to see listeria any place but from dairies, and it was rare. And E. coli, that's usually from improper butchering of cattle, and also from people that have gone to the bathroom and not bothered to wash their hands and gotten some stuff on their hands. So there's a few things to consider here. First of all, pathogenic E. coli can kill you very quickly. And so that's the one you've heard the deaths about, and I think the first public thing was a fast food place many years ago, but now it's more and more common. Now you're seeing chicken with salmonella. That should never be happening. And you're seeing salads with listeria. In fact, there were a bunch of organic salads where the people were told to recall, I forget how many thousands of tons of salads they had to recall because it was contaminated with salmonella and also with listeria.
Seems
So,
it seems to always be romaine lettuce. I see recalled all the time.
well, used to be, now it's all kinds of salads.
Yeah,
These are things that never used to be in our food supply.
right.
Now, when you consider this, it's like, okay, this is getting out of hand. They've had deaths from people using cake mixes, prepackaged cake mixes. Now, how in the heck is that happening? That's
Yeah,
dry, okay?
right.
It's absolutely dry. So if you've got people that are getting food poisoning from that, it's kind of like, boy, I mean, how does that even happen?